Hope is the belief in the probability of the possible rather than the necessity of the probable. There's a real sweet spot between challenge and hope. Leaders make pathways that keep both firmly in view. Young people have an almost biological destiny to be hopeful. Participating in a social action not only often involves a rearticulation of one's story of self, us, and now, but marks an entry into a world of uncertainty so daunting that access to sources of hope is essential. Story is like a poem. It moves not by how long it is, nor how eloquent or complicated. It moves by offering an experience or moment through which we grasp the feeling or insight the poet communicates. Well-told stories help turn moments of great crises into moments of new beginnings. When we tell our own story, we teach the values that our choices reveal, not as abstract principles, but as our lived experience. We reveal the kind of person we are to the extent that we let others identify with us. Public narrative is a leadership practice of translating values into action. It is based on the fact that values are experienced emotionally. As such, they are sources of ends worthy of action and the capacity for action. Storytelling is how we interact with each other about values, how we share experiences with each other, counsel each other, comfort each other, and inspire each other to action. When we tell a story, we enable the listener to enter its time and place with us, see what we see, hear what we hear, feel what we feel. A story communicates fear, hope, and anxiety, and because we can feel it, we get the moral not just as a concept, but as a teaching of our hearts. That's the power of story. Stories teach us how to act in the right way. They are not simply examples and illustrations. When they are well told, we experience the point, and we feel hope. It is that experience, not the words as such, that can move us to action. Because sometimes that is the point, we have to act. Narrative allows us to communicate the values that motivate the choices that we make. Narrative is not talking about values, rather narrative embodies and communicates values. And it is through the shared experience of our values that we can engage with others, motivate one another to act, and find the courage to take risks, explore possibility and face the challenges we must face. Public narrative is woven from three elements: a story of why I have been called, a story of self, a story of why we have been called, a story of us, and a story of the urgent challenge on which we are called to act, a story of now. This articulation of the relationship of self, other, and action is also at the core of our moral traditions. As Rabbi Hillel, the first-century Jerusalem sage put it, "If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am for myself alone, what am I? If not now, when?" Through public narrative, leaders and participants can move to action by mobilizing sources of motivation, constructing new shared individual and collective identities, and finding the courage to act. Narrative is not talking about values, rather, narrative embodies and communicates values.